My dear learners over there, I welcome you to our lesson 33. As usual, I'm your teacher and I'm teacher Hakim. Okay, good morning or good afternoon. Alright, let us get started with our word bank. We are going to start with our word number 1, and this word number 1 is read as yeast. This one is read as yeast. The word is yeast, and this yeast, it is under what we call the fungi kingdom, or it is a fungus, and it reproduces by means of budding. And this yeast is very important. How we use it when we are baking breads to rise the dough, and also when we are brewing beer. So we see yeast being used there. Then this one is the tendril. So a tendril is a part which is found on a weak stem. So this coiled part is what we call the tendril, and it enables these plants with weak stems to climb others with strong stems in order to get support and also to receive enough sunny light. Now we have this word pneumonia. This word is pneumonia. So it affects our lungs and is caused by a bacterium, and this bacterium is called pneumococcal, which is under the type of coccus bacteria, as we discussed the Monera kingdom. And in the previous lesson we said that this pneumonia, people with pneumonia, they shouldn't smoke. Why? Because when they smoke, that smoking can cause pneumonia to be worsened. Same applying to people with the abracts, then with TB, tuberculosis, with whooping cough, and with the stomach ulcers. Okay, we have this other word. This word is read as distillate. The word is read as distillate. So this is the product we get as a result of distillation. Remember, we said as we are making alcohol is made up from two methods. The first one is fermentation, where we use yeast. Then from there, that could be it is put in a drum. Then it is heated to evaporation. Then the vapor is passed through the delivery tubes. Then this vapor is collected in a container. So these delivery tubes are put in cold water. So this cold water is to condense this alcohol. Then this tube is highly coiled to increase condensation. Now here we are heating. When we heat, which process is going to take place here? It's going to be evaporation. Then the vapor is going to move through the pipes. On reaching the cold water, here it's going to condense. So the process here, it is called condensation. Then the result we are going to collect here is not alcohol, it is called a distillate. Alright, so we have this word saprophyte. This one is sap, raw, then yet. So the word becomes saprophyte. The word is saprophyte. So what does this word saprophyte mean? So saprophyte means an organism that depends or that feeds on dead, decaying organic matter, especially the fungi. All the fungi are saprophytes, majority of them. However, we have those ones that are parasitic, that depend on others, but the majority are saprophytes. They can depend on other organisms for what? For food. Then we have this other word, aluminium. Then members make a mistake when it comes to writing aluminium. They write aluminium, then they skip this U. It's wrong. The U must be there. So the word is aluminium, and we say that aluminium is the best conductor to be used when making the home cutlery, the home utensils, simply because it is not expensive, and two, it has a low density. However, the best conductor is silver, but silver is very expensive. Next to silver is copper, but copper has a very high density. Now we have this tobacco, and this is tobacco. So the word is tobacco, whereby we say this tobacco, when people regularly and frequently use tobacco, we term that one as smoking. Then people smoke using pipes, people smoke by sniffing, injections, and others do chew a quacha. And we say that we have what we call life skills to avoid smoking, because smoking is not good. One, we said we have to be with what we call self-awareness, we have to be assertive, and we have to be with what we call self-esteem. We shall understand these ones later. Then we have tubal ligation. So tubal ligation, it is an artificial family planning which is a permanent method in the females, and this one involves the cutting of the fallopian tubes. Now these are the tubes, they cut them and they seal them. So tubal cut and ligate. So ligate means to seal, so you cut and seal them. So that is a family method planning, and it is artificial but permanent. Now we have the last word, and this word is word as leukemia. Leukemia, which is leukemia. This one is leukemia. So leukemia is a condition which results as a result of having immature white blood cells. Remember, we looked at blood and we said that blood has components. One has the white blood cells, it has the red blood cells, then we have blood platelets and plasma, and each one has its function. Then the white blood cells, for them, they make the defense. So they are responsible for defending the body, right? Now if they are responsible for defending the body, now these white blood cells, they can be immature. Once they are immature, they prevent the production of other blood components, which is termed as the blood cancer. Blood cancer. So you have very many which are immature, and once they are very many and they are immature, they prevent the production of these other normal blood cells, which we call the blood cancer. So our words are leukemia, which is a disease of the circulatory system accompanied by sickle cell anemia. Then we have tubal ligation, yeast, tendril, tobacco, aluminium, saprophyte, distillate, and pneumonia. Let us get the word, the science diagram. So today we are now going again to go back to feathers, and now anything which has feathers covering its body, that one is called a bird. Where we discussed and said that anything to be called a bird, it has to be covered with the feathers. Now this one separates a bird from a mammal. So anything to be called a mammal, it is covered with hair or the fur. Are we getting that? Now these feathers, then these birds, they have what we call the horny beaks. They don't have teeth, but they have horny beaks. Then these birds, their forelimbs, their forelimbs are modified into wings. Then they have two hind legs. Then they have 4-chambered hearts. Their hearts are like ours. They have 4 chambers, and again they use lungs to breathe. They reproduce by means of laying eggs, and they undergo internal fertilization. And these birds are homeothermic, meaning that they are warm-blooded animals, which means their body temperature is constant. Are you getting that? And they have scales on their legs. And they are streamlined. They are streamlined, meaning that they are pointed forward and backward in order to reduce viscosity. What is viscosity? Viscosity means air resistance, as these birds are doing what? Are flying. So to reduce air resistance as they do what? As they do fly. Then their eyes are protected by lids, and the 3 lids, and they are termed as nictitating membrane. So nictitating membrane. Okay, now these feathers are very important to birds. One, they enable birds to do what? To fly. So they enable birds to fly. 2, they keep the birds warm. Take note, they don't provide warmth. They don't give warmth to the bird. No, they just keep the birds warm. How? By preventing heat loss. They prevent heat what? Loss, because they are insulators. Insulators. Then 3, these birds, these feathers, they give birds body shape. The way those birds are, then that shape is given to them by the feathers. And lastly, they give these birds color for identification, as we are seeing different colors over here. Now these feathers are of 4 types. There is one which we call the philoplum, the philoplum feather. 2, we have what we call the quill feathers. Then 3, there is what we call the body feathers, and we have what we call the down feathers. Now we are going to identify them from here. Now when we look at this one, this one and these ones are called the quill feathers, and now these feathers are found at the tail and on the wings, and there are 2. We have the primary quill and the secondary quill. Primary are longer than the secondary. Now when you look at this one is what we call the body feather, which is also called the covert feather. Now when you look at these ones like strings are what we call the phylloplum, and these phylloplums, they are also called the hair feathers. Now what you see here, this is what we call the downy feather. So the down feather. So down feather, the phylloplum, the this is the down feather, the down feather. Now this is the body feather, the contour, the body feather, this is the down feather. Now this is the contour. Now so let us get the parts of a quill feather. So it has this part which is called the quill, then it has these ones what we call the after shaft. Now there is this middle part here, this middle line, this is what we call the shaft. Now these extensions here you are seeing what we call the vein, or the branches, or the barbis, So this is a quill feather. This part is called a quill. The bunu. This is the after shaft. This is the after shaft. This is the quill. Then this middle part here, it is the shaft. And now these things beside this here are what you call the vein or the branches. So these are the feathers. We discussed them in our previous lessons, so this has been a reminder. So you can draw it just like this one. Then if I draw now this part here I've drawn, it is my quill. Then I'm going to put on these ones. So these ones are called the after shaft. Then this middle part becomes the shaft. Then I'm going to give it the body, and this body I'm giving it is what we call the vein. Are we getting that? This is what we call the vein. So those have been our feathers. How important are they? We've said they enable the bird to fly, whereby these quill feathers are also called flight feathers. So they are the ones responsible for the flight. Then phylloplums are called hair feathers. Body feathers are also called covert. Then the down are feathers. Let us go to our lesson of today. Okay, so today we are now going to visit an interesting part of science, and this is what we call drugs. We are going to discuss the drugs. Then what is a drug? So a drug is a substance that changes the physical and mental functioning of our body. So drugs are chemicals which may affect the physical and mental state of our bodies. So drugs are chemicals that may affect the physical, what we are seeing, the physical or mental within the brain and mental state of our bodies. So drugs are chemicals that can or that may affect the physical or mental state of our bodies. Physical, what we are seeing, you can take some drugs, then we see hands shivering, we see the head shaking, we see the eyes becoming red. Are you getting that? Then the mental, how would you reason? You can take drugs, then you feel dizzy, you feel sleepy, then you talk words like that. So that is mental. So that a drug, in simple terms, is a chemical that may affect the physical or the mental state of of our bodies. And now these drugs, they can either slow down or increase the functioning of the body. They can make it function very fast, or they can make it function very slow. So those are the drugs. Now some of these drugs are curative drugs. Some of these drugs can cure cure diseases. So if they can cure diseases, and now all these drugs that can cure diseases, we call them the medical drugs. Another term given to these medical drugs, we can call them the essential drugs. We can call them essential essential drugs. Then others which cannot cure, which are not medical, which are taken for just pleasure, we call them the narcotic drugs. Now, meaning that these drugs are of two categories. One, we have the types of drugs. Let us write it like this one. Types of drugs here. One, there is what we call the essential drugs, and now these essential drugs are medical drugs, meaning that we use them to cure diseases, and they are also called medical drugs. And another type, those are narcotic drugs. They are narcotic drugs, so which can cause addiction there. Now, these essential drugs, we can classify them into 4. So these essential drugs or the medical drugs, we can classify them into 4 according to what they can do. One, we have the essential drugs which can cure diseases, which we call curative drugs, like the lumantem, like the coatem. When you're having malaria, you can get the fancida. Now it is going to cure the malaria. Then again, we have what we call the preventive drugs. We have preventive drugs, meaning that these are the drugs which we take to prevent diseases. Right now, which drug are people taking right now to prevent COVID-19? They are taking the Covax, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, and so on. So those ones are the vaccines, so we use them to prevent diseases. And again, we have what we call contraceptives. Now these contraceptives are for them, or for these contraceptives, we take them in order to do what? To prevent births. Remember, contraception, we said birth control, so these ones are used during the family planning sessions. So curative drugs, preventive drugs, and the contraceptive drugs there. All right, now let us see. These essential drugs are very important in our bodies. So what are these essential drugs generally? So essential drugs are drugs that, when taken in the right amounts, they meet people's daily healthy needs. These are drugs which, when used, essential, let us write it here. Essential drugs are drugs which, when used properly, don't just use them anyhow. When used properly, these are drugs which, when used properly, can meet people's common healthy needs. So here we have forgotten one class, the painkillers. We have the painkillers which relieve pain. You have headache, you have what? So those are painkillers. So essential drugs are the drugs which, when used properly, can meet people's common healthy needs. Maybe you want to cure a disease, you want to prevent a disease, you want a family plan, or you want to reduce pain. So if you use them properly, they can meet your common healthy need by curing the disease, by preventing a disease, and so on. Then we have what we are going to, we have this word, so the expiry date. What is this expiry date? So this is the date when by which the drug is no longer useful. Is the date by which a drug is no longer useful. Is no longer useful. You just need, now when you take it into the body, you are just taking poison. Okay, let's look at some of examples of essential drugs. Examples of essential drugs here. One, there is paracetamol, which you call Panadol. We have the Dexa. We have amoxicillin. We have ampicillin. We have Septrin. There is chloroquine. There is fancida. We have the coatem. There is the lumantem. We have chloroquine, quinine, sorry. And very many others. So those are some of the essential drugs which are made from the laboratory. Now let us see the common words we use when you're talking about drugs. So there is this word called drug abuse. So this is not abusing of the drug. You say this drug is bad, it is smelling. So drug abuse means the way of the using of a drug in a way which is harmful. In a way which is harmful to the body. So drug abuse is the way of using a drug in a way which is harmful to the body. So drug abuse is any use of a drug in a way that has been classified as illegal in a community. So drug abuse, let us write also this one. Drug abuse is any use of a drug. Drug abuse is any use of a drug in a way that has been classified illegal in a community. And especially now, meaning that all narcotic drugs, the drugs that can cause addiction, they are abused. Then let us take another word here, drug misuse. Drug misuse. Now drug misuse is not misusing of drugs, but this is the way how people use drugs without following the doctor's advice. So drug abuse, in short, in brief, is a use of a drug against the doctor's advice. So let us write it here. This is the use of a drug against the doctor's advice. So it's the use of a drug against the doctor's advice, or it is the wrong use of a drug. Or you can say it's the wrong use of a drug. Now let us see ways through which people misuse drugs. Ways through which people misuse drugs. Ways through which people misuse drugs. Let us see the ways which people misuse drugs. 1. Some sharing the same drug. Because you have headache, and now your sister in the evening says, even I have headache. Okay, you give him one. That is drug misuse. So sharing the same drug, that is backward you don't share it. 2. Taking less drugs. Taking less drugs, and this is termed as underdose. They have told you take 2, you are taking 1. 3. Taking more drugs. Now this is overdose. Now let us see reasons why people drug abuse. Reasons why people drug abuse. Remember, we said drug abuse is the using of a drug in a way which is harmful to the body, or is the illegal. It is the using of a drug, the use of a drug which has been in a way which has been, or that has been classified illegal in a community. 1. Some drugs cause stimulation. Some drugs cause stimulation. Nagamba wenywa kukulino nja kuba manyi g'ekisajja. Stimulation, so to relax. Others abuse their drugs to relax. Others to sleep, like the dynapa. Sorry. The we call them what? The what that I'm forgetting them. The sleeping pills, we call them the what? I'm going to remember. I read, but it's not dynapa. Dynapa is a painkiller. To forget the problems. Then to stay awake. Sagala kwebaka njagala nsigale nga ntunula. To stay awake. Then for companionship. Then 7. Others to bring pressure. Okwesanyusa. Then 8. For joining groups. Then 9. for fear of rejection. For fear of rejection. So those are the reasons as to why people do what we call drug misuse. Now, drug abuse. Let us look at now drug prescription. Pronounce that word. Drug what? Drug prescription. So this is a health worker's written information on how to use a particular drug. For example, when you go there, the doctor writes there Panadol, then 2 times 3. Now these things that health worker has written is what we call prescribing, or he has or she has prescribed the drug. So drug prescription is the healthy worker's written information on how to use a certain drug, drug, just like what? Just like that. Now let us see, why do doctors prescribe? How important? So the importance of drug prescription. Importance of drug prescription. How good is it? 1, it prevents underdose. Prevents underdose, and when the dose is under, you will not get healed. Then it also prevents overdose or overdosage. Then 3 here, it prevents and controls drug abuse. It prevents and controls drug abuse. Now let us see, what does underdose mean? So underdose means taking less amount of drugs, in brackets medicine, than required. They have told you take 3, you are taking 1 because it is bitter or sour. Then how dangerous is this one? Underdose makes germs become resistant to medicine. Nga newumira tokyawona. Okay, let us talk of underdose. This is when a patient takes more medicine, takes more medicine than the amount prescribed. Prescribed. It also makes medicine harmful to the body. So it also makes medicine, this one, it makes medicine harmful to the body. Makes medicine harmful within our bodies. So it's not very good. Now it also makes medicine harmful to the body. Then now let us look at examples of narcotic drugs. And remember, we said narcotic drugs are the drugs that cause addiction. Or the other drug abuse. 1, marijuana. There is mirror. There is opium. There is the heroin. We have cocaine. We have Bahati or Hat. We have Mayurungi. We have Shisha. There is nicotine. We have alcohol, and so on. So those ones are narcotic drugs, or the drugs that are commonly abused. Now let us see harmful effects of narcotic drugs, these drugs that can cause addiction. Harmful effects of narcotic drugs. here. Sorry. 1, they lead to poverty. You are drinking alcohol now. Even you don't work, you lose jobs. They disrupt normal behavior. Nosanga nga bakutte embuzi. Disrupt normal behavior. Raping of animals. Normal behavior. Number 3, they are very addictive. They are very addictive. And these drugs, they damage body organs. They damage body organs. Okay, so how to avoid narcotic drugs? How to avoid narcotic drugs? 1, avoid bad companies. Avoid bad company. Bad company groups. 2, you should engage in sports so that you keep yourself busy. Any kind of sports. Then here you spend leisure time reading magazines. If you have nothing to do, spend your leisure time reading magazines. Read the Bible. Magazines. Okay, so let us see effects of drug abuse. Effects of drug abuse. 1, they cause weakness of the body. They cause weakness of the body. 2, they cause brain damage. Then 3, they lead to loss of appetite. To loss of appetite. Okay, let us get another chalkboard here. Then let us see now let us see factors to consider before prescribing drugs. Before prescribing drugs. Now 1 here, the age of a patient is very important. 2, type of illness. Weight of a patient. Then form, type of drug. The type of drug to be prescribed. Now let us look at the information found. Information found on a prescribed drug. A prescribed drug. Now 1, the expiry date. Then 2, the likely effects. Likely effects of the drug to the user. Then 3, its dosage and duration. Its dosage and duration. Name of a drug. And name of a drug, and the disease it cures. 5. The disease it cures. The disease it cures. Okay, so that is the information which is found on a well prescribed drugs, as we've discussed what prescription is. Then let us see the advantages of drug prescription. Or the advantages, the good things of prescribing drugs. It minimizes drug abuse amongst. Let me first underline this one. It minimizes minimizes drug abuse. It avoids overdosage. Dosage here. It prevents underdosage. And also it enables the patient to know the correct dosage. Now let us lastly see how these drugs are kept. So ways how to care and store drugs in homes. In homes here. 1. Keep drugs away from children. Then 2. Avoid physical damage. Then 3. Keep drugs away from dirt. Then 4. Keep drugs in a place away from heat and light. Keep drugs away from moisturized areas with water. Moisturized areas. So you've been a good learner. Then this marks the end of our subtopic drugs. So it's activity time. Number 1, define a drug. Number 2, why do people smoke? Number 3, identify 2 advantages of drug prescription. Prescription. 4, define the following terms. Drug abuse, drug misuse, drug prescription. Okay, we meet in the next lesson, lesson 34.